everyone, and welcome to BookTrib's 15 Minutes with a Merrill Moss Media production. Today, we are welcoming back New York Times, USA Today, and Wall Street Journal bestselling author Jennifer Probst. Many of you know her, all of you know her, and we are excited today to talk about her new Billionaire Builders novella, Somehow, Someway, among a number of others that Jennifer has released recently. Welcome, Jen. We're glad to have you back.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be back here again. I was looking forward to it.
Absolutely. So since we last spoke, you've released a good amount of the Billionaire Builders series. Before we talk about the novella, I want to back up a little bit and have you tell us a little about the series, the characters we're talking about, and maybe a couple of the people we've already met.
Okay. Yeah, that's a great idea. First off, this series was inspired by my absolute love for HGTV TV. So
Yes.
for anybody who doesn't have HGTV,
Get it.
think really hot guys and really cool badass women taking apart houses, rebuilding, renovating, designing. There's so many different shows that are so addictive. So my husband and I have gotten into this wonderful routine. And then the light bulb came on and I said, I'm going to create my own Property Brothers romance series. And kind of that way I can kind of live in my own world, which writers do all the time, which is kind of cool. So I decided I created these three brothers called the Pierce brothers. We have the oldest one, Cal, and he's the builder. He's kind of like the rough, more gruff, in the first book, Everywhere, Every Way, the heroine actually calls him Grumpy, which is kind of fun to write him. But he's like the hands-on builder. The second one is the middle brother, and he is Tristan. And he's actually going to be the very last book coming in July. Tristan is the real estate flipper. So if you think back to Property Brothers and the Scott brothers, he wears the fancy suits. He likes to take the houses at a good sale and then flip them, redesign them. He's a little James Bondish too. He's kind of like a little bit on the quieter side. He also reminds me of like old Hollywood, like Cary Grant or something. He's just really smooth, and I love writing that character. And then the last brother, Dalton, is the youngest one. And his book was Anytime, Any Place. That's out already. That came out in January. He had moved to California before coming back to New York. He's the master woodworker. And if you can imagine, I had a lot of fun with the play on wood. He looks at all which I was a lot of fun researching, like how to take the grains of wood and different types of wood and transform them into these beautiful pieces. So he has like long surfer hair. He's the man whore in the group, the least responsible, that the brothers are always doing. So those are the characters, and it introduces it. What's happened is they lost their mom 5 years ago in this terrible car crash. It tore apart the family. There was a lot of terrible things that happened. I don't want to get too into it because there's a lot of family drama that's been planted through these books, and each book will take you through. Even though I write them as standalones, you can jump in at any time, which I love that, and then go back and read. Don't have to start with book one. So we find the brothers reunited 5 years later. They've all gone their separate ways. They haven't spoken in 5 years. The father dies, and in his will, he says the three brothers have to run the Pierce construction industry, the business together for 1 year and make a profit, or the business is lost forever. So you think, and they also have to live in the family mansion together. So they're forced to live together. I love writing heroes because there's a lot of physical fights. Men are just different from women. They won't do, and I love women, but they won't do the backstabbing kind of sometimes catty things that women could possibly do. Men are right in your face. So they'll get in your face and they'll call you something and they'll give you a black eye. But then then it's done. So there's just a lot of dynamics between. This is a very heavy focused male series. And the heroines are very, very different as they come in. So I get excited when I talk, so I probably rambled on, but that's basically the whole series, and each book is a different brother, and they all kind of relate, but they're all standalones.
Got it. So now you're releasing Somehow, Some Way, and this is a novella in the series, and it's 1001 Dark Nights novella,
Yes.
because our readers and viewers know them very well, and we love them very much.
Oh, so addicted to them.
Yes. So tell us what's happening then in this novella and the characters that we're following.
Okay, so this is the fourth person in the Pierce brothers, but he's not a brother. His name is Brady, and he's the architect. And he is Cal's friend from college, back in college. So he studied with the Pierce brothers and pretty much got into the business very, very early. All of the brothers, he's like family, and he's a full partner in the firm. So it was fun to kind of take a different kind of approach because he's part of the family, but not by blood, and he's the architect. So he is Latino, and I talk about how he gets this English name because right away people are like, no, he can't be Latino, but there's an interesting history to it.
Got it.
And he's a little bit like Tristan, where he likes the suits, he likes control, he likes plans. Now we come in with Charlie, who's a rehab addict. And there's a series on HGTV with this young woman, Nicole, and she goes in and takes these terrible, dilapidated houses and transforms them. So she is a complete workaholic. She saves her money. She's working for Pierce Brothers, but she wants her own house to rehab. She goes in, finds a house, buys it with her salary, and decides to, renovate the entire thing from start to finish. But what happens is this house is in a terrible neighborhood. There's drug busts around. It's on a dead end. The Pierce brothers find out that she's working on this house at night, and they're very protective of their group. They're a protective family. And because she's working for them, they take her under her wing. So everybody cannot help her do this house because of different jobs. Brady, the architect, decides he'll be the one. He'll kind of go in and help her. And she's very resentful of this because they are like oil and water. When I tell you these two could not be in a room together when I was writing without going at it left and right.
I love
because she's kind of like, he's traditional from a Latino household. He wants like the perfect wife, traditional wife, children, marriage, no work. He likes somebody who's soft-spoken, traditional, let him lead. She's the complete opposite. 10 years younger, fiery, stubborn. They just can't stand each other from page one. And so they're forced to renovate this house. And each chapter, I take a different portion of the house that they're working on, and they'll have like a different scene together. It was so much fun to write. I can't even tell you. For a novella, it's almost 60,000 words. So it's not a short story. It's almost like a full-length book.
Okay. Wow. That's really exciting. But we're not done. There's more to come. After the novella, July 25th, All or Nothing at All is out, which is the next full book in the series. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, that's Tristan's story. And you will see throughout the series, you'll see a little bit in Somehow, Some Way. They'll mention Sydney, who is the kind of like the backboard assistant of the entire. She's been working for the Pierce brothers also since she was young. And her and Tristan had a very hot affair when she was only 19 years old. There's lots of secrets that are revealed in it. It is pretty much the firework. When I tell you, my editor is very, very hard on me, and she said, this is your swan song. This book is just the perfect ending to the series. So
it is the ending. Really, it's the conclusion.
Yeah.
Okay. All righty. Well, that was my next question. So, that sounds good. You go out with a bang, and it's out in July, so fireworks and everything. Perfect.
Exactly.
So the series that we talked about in depth last time was the Searching For series. And since then, you've released Searching for Disaster. Can you talk a little bit about that addition to the series and what's going on there?
Yes, that wraps up all of the Searching For series. I think there's a total of 7 books. That was like book 7 because there's another novella and a short story out there. But that was the very last sister, Isabella, who was caused a lot of havoc throughout the series. She's a drug addict. And so it was one of the best books that I got to write because it showed how somebody who feels like she's lost her way and destroyed her life can start over again. And I think that's an important story to tell.
Yeah, absolutely.
You see her from the first chapter making the wrong decision about what path to choose, and then how she needs to get her life back on track.
Okay.
You will see all the other characters in the series. I wrap up all of the couples. Everybody gets cameos. I
Cool.
pit Isabella with somebody that she met in college and had a one night stand in, which is Stone Petty from Searching for Always, his partner. He's a cop. So
Got it.
think a drug addict reformed
And a
with a
cup.
cop
Yeah.
that they had a one night stand with. So there's a lot of emotion in that book, and I'm very excited to say that that's actually up for a Rita Award through RWA.
That's
So
amazing.
yes, so I'm very
Congratulations.
excited to see about that. That was excited, and also Searching for Mine, which is another novella through 1001 Dark
Yep.
Nights last year, is also up for a Rita. So
Amazing. That's
really
so
thrilled to see the
great.
double nomination. So it's really nice to see how readers, really absorbed that.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on
Thank
that.
you.
So in March, actually, you just released Write Naked, and it's the bestseller Secrets to Writing Romance and Navigating the Path to Success. If you could break this down a little bit for the readers, maybe those who haven't grabbed it yet, just
Yes.
tell us what readers can find in there and maybe your inspiration behind writing it, because this is a nonfiction.
Yes, this is my first nonfiction book, and I have been writing since I was 10 years old. And when I was 10 years old and there was no internet and nobody talked to real working writers, you had Writer's Digest books and Writer's Digest magazine that would teach you craft and
Sure.
connect you with all sorts of other writers. So I would save my pennies and my allowance, and I would go to the library and I would read everything I can get my hands on. And it has been a dream of mine to one day write for Writer's Digest. Now, flash forward 35 years later, that last year, I woke up on New Year's Day with passages of this writing book coming out left and right. And
Wow.
I just wrote chapter after chapter after chapter, and I realized it's been time. It needed 35 years for me to really go
Yeah.
on this journey to figure out what I really wanted to say. If you've ever read, and believe me, I am not comparing it. I'm saying that if you've ever read Stephen King's On Writing, one of the most famous books ever,
Yes.
it is not just a craft book, but more of a memoir. He goes through craft, he goes through his experiences, his story, his suggestions, his mistakes. That's what Write Naked is for the romance world.
Okay.
I go into my journey. I go into how I was writing in poverty to getting, a 7-figure deal, to being all over the map. I talk about all sorts of different things on craft. It is a very naked type of book. I put a lot of stuff out there that people don't talk about. That was a little
Sure.
scary for me. But coming back, what readers will find is the truth. Anybody who's ever been interested in the romance industry, anybody who's ever written, whether it be romance or not, anybody who's fascinated about the inner workings of romance writers or any writers out there, there's an entire chapter on the trademark of best-selling authors. I interviewed over 50 best-selling authors, and it's an entire chapter chock full of their quotes of what they have done in their lives to remain bestsellers.
Amazing.
So it's a little bit of everything, and I just can't tell you how proud I am of this book. And when it went for auction and I found out Writer's Digest wanted it, it was kind of a dream come true when I go back to when I was 10 and holding them, and now,
Sure. That's
so it's very,
amazing.
yeah, I'm very happy about this book. And honestly, I've been getting a lot of feedback from writers and non-writers who have been inspired by it because it's just a very truthful book. I've been up, I've been down, I've been in between,
Yeah.
and I just put it all out there on the page.
That's so wonderful. I've had it since it released. I've had it in my Amazon wish list, and I'm so excited about it now, just hearing you talk about it and a little more in depth and knowing what it's all about. Absolutely, I'm going to check it out.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you so much.
So what's next, I guess, is where we'll leave off. What's next for you? What else in 2017? I'm sure you're already writing for 2018.
Yes. It's so funny. We write way ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
And all the ideas that are kind of like nipping at our minds to
Sure.
get out now, we go, no, 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 we don't have time to write you yet. You're going to have to get in line. As I say,
Exactly.
you have to get in line for the series. I'm actually working on the first book of a new series. It's going to be a 2-book series. It could be more. We're going to see how it goes.
Okay.
It's called The Start of Something Good. It should
Ooh.
be out March or April.
Okay.
It takes place in at a bed and breakfast in upstate New York, also by a horse rescue farm. So my hero is basically comes home. It's kind of like a second chance returning home type of book. When you've been broken and you've had wrong choices in your life and things have happened,
Sure.
and you return home. And he goes home to the bed and breakfast, and he's kind of like a horse whisperer, and he goes to heal. And of course, what happens? My heroine explodes on the scene. She's
Right.
got to stay there for the summer. She's a PR rep for a politician, and his daughter has gotten into a lot of trouble and needs almost like a babysitter before the election takes place. So as his PR rep, she goes up to this. She's a city girl. She's kind of like in a whole different field. She goes
Sure.
up because this teenager has to work community service at the horse farm. So I've got the teenage girl, I've got the hero, I've got the heroine. They're all stuck together for the summer. And of course, I've got a really colorful cast of characters that are making their way out. So it's a really fun book to write. It's a little bit different, and I think the readers are really going to enjoy that.
That's
So I've got
awesome.
that coming out next year. And
Perfect.
a couple of other things up my sleeve, but I'm going to start with that series first.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, we look forward to all of it, just as we did last time. And this was so wonderful getting to chat all about the Searching For series and the Billionaires Builders series. So
Yeah.
great. Thank you so
I
much
love
for
catching up
chatting.
with you so, so much. I'm looking
Absolutely.
forward to, having our new updates each year as it goes. And it's really a pleasure to get to chat. So thank you so much
Absolutely.
for inviting me back.
Oh, you are so welcome, and we're glad to have you. So until next time.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for watching.